full 77% of the people in the US don't have access to mental health in their county. 55% don't even have a provider in their county. And counties around the country, the majority of them report that they're in a severe or extreme crisis. We have a number of other features. As a child adolescent psychiatrist, I'm sad to report that the vast majority of children with a mental health disorder, 3/4 or better, never find any treatment. The majority of adults with a mental health disorder never find treatment. In integrative psychiatry, we've had this theme of body, mind, spirit that has sort of coursed through this field for the last 40 years that I've paid some attention to it. So if we were to create these 3 pillars of body, mind, spirit, it might look something like this. Body is the hardware, mind is the operating system and controller, and soul or spirit, depending on which term you like, is the application. So the first thing that I want to talk about is not only functional neuroimaging, which is called Loreta, but this relates to how we assess the brain. Psychiatry is the only specialty in medicine that does not really study and base its treatments off of end organ assessment. Neurology does it. Every other specialty in medicine does it, but psychiatry doesn't. And I think that functional neuroimaging, which is actually QEEG, quantitative electroencephalogram, has the opportunity to do that. As we start to go out into the realm of things that we can actually use in practice, we only have a few choices. Actually, the microscopic level, because it involves cutting into the brain, is just not practical. So we get out to things like fMRI, PET scans, SPECT scans, and quantitative EEG. And if you look at the blue in the top, that blue rectangle, what you can see is that EEG gives us electrical detail down to the milliseconds, which is critical because of how fast the brain moves. And it also gives us localization down to the like 7 to 10 millimeters. So that is actually acute enough to be really, really helpful. It doesn't have quite the detail or resolution of PET scans or SPECT scans, but it has a number of other positive attributes. So what we see with Loreta technology, and this is using a 19-lead EEG assessment, a CAP, is that you can localize things down to very specific localizations in the brain. You can get feedback that helps you to understand what's going on in different neurological centers, and you can actually uptrain or downtrain specific sites like the cingulate or the amygdala. So neurofeedback, just building on that, is something that helps us to train the brain. It takes this quantitative electroencephalographic output and we do real-time biofeedback with it to alter the patterns. And we have very clear documentation that biofeedback works through operant conditioning, and we now have very good evidence that neurofeedback works. We also know that hypnosis can alter pain perception, and it can alter it different ways depending on the perception. We can do sensory modulation or affect modulation based on the type of suggestion that's given. So there's different ways to hack the system using different codes into the system, if you will. And hypnosis, and this is something I learned in my study of Ericksonian hypnosis 20 and 30 years ago, is it's really simply the power of communication. And how do we learn to communicate well to enhance the placebo effect, which is really at its core our ability to self-heal.